All right. What's up, everybody? We are glad to be back. We had a little hiatus. This whole coronavirus stuff has the whole world up in a tizzy, but it sounds like, knock on wood, we're getting sports back. We're going to get baseball back next week. I don't know. I'm pretty excited. What about you, Michael?
Yeah, this coronavirus pandemic has been killing me. I resorted to betting on Russian table tennis,
Mm-hmm.
um, esports,
Mm-hmm.
you name it. I actually did one day. I bet on the weather and I swept it, which was the most fun I've ever had, but also the most degenerate I've ever felt. So getting baseball back, getting soccer back, NBA just around the corner. I'm excited. Yeah, we're gonna go through a little bit of this MLB previews, and couldn't be more excited to be in this position.
No, and I think you actually found a new favorite team of yours, above the Brewers, above the Packers, Florida State, all that. You're now the biggest Korean baseball fan in the world.
That's
Is that right?
correct. Yeah, NC Dinos. I've been a lifelong NC Dinos fan for about the past 2 to 3 months. Um, they are the best team in baseball history, winning at a 69% clip. Nice. Um, yeah, I mean, things are great, kind of hold me over until we get back to the big leagues. Go Dinos.
Yeah, well, just as soon as the MLB starts and the Brewers start playing, the Dinos are going to start to lose. You'll be very sad, and then something's going to happen to the Brewers. I'm sure that's just the way it's going to work out because that's the way it always does, right?
No, I don't even appreciate you putting that out there.
All right. So here's what we've got. What we've got planned for today. We're going to go through and not pick winners for each of the divisions. We're going to take a look at odds for teams in the East, Central, and West for both the National League and the American League, and pick either an over and under on total wins for the season that we like. We're going to do MVP and Cy Young for each league, and then we've also got a couple of odd little bets down here for who's going to win the World Series. Will there be over or under 20 and a half home runs by a single player during the year, and then who the home run and stolen base champ are going to be. So we got plenty to roll through here. Michael, I'll go ahead and let you start if you want to take us through the National League East and who you picked.
Yeah, yeah. So just real quick, we're using all of our odds are coming from Bovada, and the system that we're using is going to be we're splitting $15 between our red and blue columns. You can split it however you like, but yeah, I'll go first. Just like you said, I'll pick or I'll list out my East, Central, and West for the NL. For the East, I guess is where we'll start since it's on the top. I'm gonna go with Phillies under 31 wins. It was a little bit tough. Bovada wasn't listing the Mets, and I think you and I were both looking at their team total. Just the Mets being the Mets, but also a little bit of regression on the offensive end was probably in line. So not having them made it a little bit harder. But with the odds at minus 115, I liked under 31 wins. That puts them about 500 baseball. I think that's where they'll be behind the Braves and the Nationals. Obviously beating up on the Marlins, but who's not going to this year? But Bryce Harper, he's a losing player. It's been said once, it's been said 1,000 times. I think that's right about where they need to be, 500 under 31 wins.
Sure. I don't know. I as much as I don't like the Phillies and Bryce Harper, I think everybody knows that. I kind of like the Phillies lineup. They've got a ton of bats, just stacked where they'll have at least 2 or 3 players on the bench that would still be great, 4, 5, 6, 7 hitters. The one thing
Yeah,
that gives me pause is their rotation.
right.
Um,
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly where I was as well.
yeah. So I could see
I
it
don't
going either
think,
way, and I think we're going to see this on a lot of them.
yeah. I think, if Aaron Nola returns to the form he was a couple years ago, then that number
Yeah.
easily shoots up 2 or 3 games just off that alone. But I think you have to take into consideration every game matters, and I just think that the teams above them are going to keep beating them up. And then you look at kind of how this 60-game season is going to work as well, with them having to play against the AL East, and the tough games that they're going to have to play there.
Sure. Yeah, they got to play a couple games against the Orioles, who sleeper pick may or may not have winning the World Series. So I have the Nationals under 33 at even odds. So this has nothing really to do, in my opinion, with how good the team actually is, even though they are the World Series champs from 2019. I think it's going to be more of, and you've seen it so far, they've already had 3 players that have opted out, whether for health concerns. I mean, they're all for health concerns, but I think in Zimmerman's case, it was, hey, I'm not going to make a ton of money. We just won the World Series. It doesn't really matter. I think what you'll end up seeing, or you could end up seeing, is that if the Nationals aren't playing up to what they should be, they've got a little bit of a hangover, even though we're starting late. They might have players start opting out, basically saying, hey, we won it last year. It's fine if we don't win it this year. I'm just going to take my paycheck, go home, and we'll come back in 21 ready to defend, right? I could see that easily being the case for the Nationals and a lot of other teams, that just having players throw in the towel once you get couple weeks into the season and you're not going so hot.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you look at what they did last year. Obviously, they're the defending champs, but just how much luck that they were able to capture all in that one run.
Right.
You know, there's no secret why they were a wild card team. They're a good team, but they're not a great team. I don't see them having that same repeat. You know, they've got great starting pitching and they've got a pretty potent offense, but you look at Anthony Rendon leaving, that's a big blow to their lineup. And Zimmerman's only getting older. Juan Soto, is he going to continue to be a superstar? That's up in the air. Yeah, I like that pick. I think that's a good pick. NL East was hard. It was hard to choose.
It was for a minute there. I was actually considering going Braves under. I think it was 33 or 32 and a half, something like that. It's a crapshoot, really, for 60 games.
Yeah, definitely.
I'll flip it over to the Central. So I've got the Pirates under 25 and a half at minus 145 odds. So the odds aren't super great, but the Pirates have had a weird offseason so far after they traded away Starling Marte and a couple other players. They've had players opt out already. Several of, I think Gregor Polanco tested positive today or yesterday. I see it as a team that is still in the rebuild. They've got a couple of really great prospects that are coming up. They're going to look at this and say, hey, the NL Central is really tough to win this year. There's so many good teams that are all right about at the same level. They're going to throw in the towel and not give it as much of a shot, right? They might have a couple of guys they want to see how are they going to handle for a couple of weeks or for part of the season. But I don't see them making the investments. I could see them easily being a team that looks to trade away players if teams are going to trade. And again, same thing with the Nationals. If you start losing, you might have some of the veteran players that are on the team basically say, hey, I'm going to opt out. If we're not going to win, it's not going to be all that worth me risking my life, so to speak.
Yeah. No, I actually, I had them as well. I had them under on their team total. All the same reasons you listed. Look at their starting rotation. They're going to be without Chris Archer. They're going to be without James Taillon. So that leaves you Joe Musgrove as your opening day starter. And what is he good for? High threes ERA at best. They'll be a good team. I mean, they're definitely stacking youth. They've got a couple good guys coming up, like you said. Brian Hayes, one of them. But yeah, I don't see
Brian Hayes is huge. I don't know if you've seen him.
Huge as in stature.
He's legitimately like 6'5". He's a huge guy playing shortstop.
Never seen him. No, I thought he was playing third base. Anyways. Yeah, so they're in a different role this year. I don't think they're looking at winning as many games this season. More or less, just kind of getting their guys set up for the future. So yeah, I agree with you 100%. Minus 145 odds. It's a little bit juiced, but it seems like a pretty easy lock.
All right, who you got for the West?
For the West, I went a little bit aggressive here. I went with the Dodgers over 38 and a half wins. for even odds. So
Wow.
this was, I think, the second highest team total behind the Yankees. I don't have the Yankees number in front of me, but I know that they were also close to 40. But I just think, the Dodgers lineup, adding Mookie Betts, Walker Buehler looking like he's making improvements every single year. I really don't find a way that they don't win, at least 60%, 65% of their games. Their division is not the hardest. The AL West also, a little bit of the same thing, top heavy, but not really good all the way through. Even odds kind of enticed me in, and I think 38.5 was just enough where I feel good taking it over.
Yeah, I mean they're going to be good, and I mean even though every year they do what they can to go in, I think even more this year with the whole Mookie Betts situation and trying to get the most out of him. Like they've got so much depth from a fielding and hitting standpoint that they could lose easily 3, 4, 5 players and still be okay and still be able to pull guys up from the taxi squad and be able to fill that in and be at least above average. I'm with you there. I think easily they'll win over, I would say even 40 games. But we'll see. They're such a stacked team. It's not even fair when you start to look at it. Luckily I did not have the same as you. I actually went with the Diamondbacks over 31.5 at
That's the other
-1.
one that I was looking at. Yeah.
I like this Diamondbacks team. They were so good last year from a hitting standpoint, from Christian Walker to, Ketel Marte had a phenomenal season. They've got all the pieces built up to be an exciting team, right? This year was supposed to be more of kind of the Braves 2 years ago, where, hey, things are coming together. Next year's really the year you're looking at, where you're going to say, hey, we're a serious contender. This year's kind of up in the air. And I think with 60 games, anything can happen. You go and get Zach Greinke. No, they don't have Zach Greinke anymore, do they? They have Bumgarner.
No, they went and got Madison Bumgarner. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, Bumgarner. He's out there. Mason Saunders. He can ride all the horses that he wants now that he's out in the desert. I don't know. I just think this Diamondbacks team is going to be really good. And they're not going to beat up on a team like the Dodgers, but I think when you look at the rest of the West for the National League and the AL that they're going to have to play, they're going to be able to hold their own on every aspect of the ball and keep it in with anybody that's there. So,
yeah, 100%. I mean, you're not expecting a huge blow up season from them, but 31.5, I think that's either like the first, second, or third most bet online I saw was the Diamondbacks going over their team total. And I think it's inflated even a full win just because everyone's jumping on it. Yeah, I liked it a lot.
And they added Starling Marte too.
Yeah, that's right. Yep. Correct.
I don't know. That's a stacked lineup. I think it's an easy.
Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. Just real quick, how's my audio sound?
It sounds good.
Okay. All right, moving on.
All right. So I think we said we were going to go down to the American League. We'll do East, Central, and West.
Yep.
And then we'll come back and do the MVPs.
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. All right. So for the East, I went with the Rays over 34 for -115. I won't go into depth too much about this one because we might see this one again. I think between the Rays and the Athletics, these are the two top teams to take advantage of a 60-game season. They do this shit already, right? They're the ones that impose all these types of restrictions and limitations on the rosters and teams that they build and still come out and win wild cards every year. So you take 60 games, they're going to come up with some weird bullpen starter, whatever, and they're going to have a platoon for every single position player. It sucks that Meadows tested positive the other day. That's going to be a big blow, but just like they always do, they're going to find a way to just replace with the next person up. You got Wander Franco
Yeah.
coming up. They've got so many prospects. I see this as
even just, not looking at their analytics and kind of the unique things they do, I think their roster alone is enough to win close to 40. You look at Blake Snell, he's going to take how many starts? We'll call it 1 in 6, just to be on the safe side. He can win all 10 of his games. You look at Charlie Morton, 1 in 6, we'll call it. He can win all 10 of his games. Glass now, 1 in 6, we'll call it. He can win all 10. So that's 30 alone right there. They'll probably get it more often than not, but just to be safe, it's too easy. It just adds up too nicely. I agree 100%. Their offense, has always been a little bit of the question mark. If they start off on a slow pace, then they might dig themselves into a hole that they can't get out of, which they historically do. Start off at a low pace, not dig themselves into a hole they can't get out of. Yeah, I like it, and I think that was a good bet. I went a little bit on the opposite side, though. I went with just the rich get rich, the poor get poor in this sort of scenario of 60 games, and I'm going to have Baltimore under 20.5 at -130. I don't see how Baltimore fields a team that's anyway competent, but B wins more than, call it, 17 games. I mean, they were already horrendous last year.
Yeah.
You throw them, you throw in a team who has nothing to prove, nothing to play for, no fans even at the game. They're going up against giants like the Yankees, like the Rays. Where do they even compete? How do they even try? On the other side, the Braves, the Nationals.
I hear you, but you got to look at it this way. This is the one team that actually has experience playing in these types of conditions.
Well,
right. I mean, a couple of years ago, they played with no fans, and I believe they won that game against the Rays. But I'm with you. I'm interested to see if Chris Davis can have some type of a bounce back. But yeah, they're going to be the punching bag of the East for sure.
So, they don't. Who does Baltimore even have as far as hitters? You really have to think hard.
Trey Mancini. Let's see here, because there's one guy that I do actually want to talk about. It's really good.
But having to go on the internet and search it kind of proves my point that they don't have one guy who's going to hit, and carry their team for a week or carry their team for 2 weeks. They don't have a pitcher that they can lean on consistently and reliably to go out and win. Like I just said, with the Rays, 8 games, 9 games, 10 games. How are you going to get 20? I just don't see it.
Yeah, hold on. I do want to look up their roster really quick because so from a from a starting pitcher standpoint, I mean, you got Asher Wojciechowski, Alex Cobb. Okay, maybe.
And maybe 4 years ago. Yeah, I don't know.
Let's see. Wade LeBlanc. Nope, he's opted out. John Means. John Means is the guy they had last year that had like a 4 ERA. But Hanser Alberto is a guy, if you're forced to watch the Orioles, if you're trying to follow along and you want to see how awful they are, that's going to be the one bright spot. He's got a phenomenal hit tool and can really put that on ball like pretty consistently. But yeah, that's really about it. It's a pretty awful team.
Yeah. So without spending too much time talking about the Orioles, let's move on, please.
Go ahead. Who do you got for the Central?
The Central, I'm doing kind of the same strategy I just took. I'm going to take the Detroit Tigers under 21.5, and this one's going to be positive 125 odds. Same reasons as before, except I think they have a little bit more to offer, and it's pretty clear that they're going to be sellers, especially with Matt Boyd, who drew a lot of attention last year at the trade deadline, ultimately didn't get moved, which was kind of a surprise. I think he definitely gets moved this year. The Tigers are locked and loaded in the draft and their farm system, so I don't see any reason why they even try to be competitive. They're going to just keep loading up, and yeah, there's no reason again why I see they win 21.5. The positive odds also made.
No, I'm with you there. The only thing that I could see that would kind of push them over that, I don't know if you've seen Miguel Cabrera this year. He's lost a lot of weight. He looks really good.
Yeah, he does look good for a 54-year-old. He looks good.
54-year-old that's won a Triple Crown a couple years ago. I just, again, it's 60 games and anything can happen in 60 games, right? Who knows? But
Anything
I'm
can
with
happen.
you.
Yeah, it's baseball.
If I were to put money on the Tigers, it would be under 21.5. But
yeah,
somewhat positive.
I mean, I'm looking through their roster here. Michael Fulmer, another pitcher that could be moved at the deadline. If you're looking at Miguel Cabrera to be your 3-hitter, your 4-hitter, that's just not
right.
good.
In 2013, that's great. Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm with you. All right, so I have the Cleveland Indians over 33.5 at -115. So to me, it could really go either way. I could see the Indians basically saying, hey, this is our last year before we're just going to sell everything off and try to rebuild again. They've got the pitching. I mean, between Francisco Lindor and Jose Ramirez, they've got the bats. Franmil Reyes is still there. I think they've got a good team. This is going to be one that the first 14 days are going to be the most critical. If they come out and they go, 10 or 5-10, look for their ownership to start selling pieces off, right? But I think they've got enough talent there to beat up on the Tigers, beat up on the Royals, take a couple from the Twins. They always seem to split with the Twins. I think they're good enough to be over 33.5. But it scares me now that I put it right next to the Rays at 34, right? We'll see. This is a total coin flip, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, the big thing I think that's pushing that number up is Mike Clevinger coming back.
Yeah,
he missed pretty much the whole season last year, but you look at the numbers he was putting up before he got injured, and it was Cy Young worthy. They lost Corey Kluber. He's down in Texas now, but I think the Shane Bieber, Mike Clevinger combination is kind of looking at the same sort of formula that the Rays have, where you lean on those pitchers to win you 8 games each, 9 games each, and then just let your offense kind of figure out the rest of those games and hope that they can push you over on those 50-50s.
Yeah,
I like it. Yeah, and again, that division's wide open. Someone has to win it. Someone's gonna get hot. Why not the Indians?
I mean, I think that's a plot of a movie, if I recall correctly. All right. So nope, didn't mean to do that. Let's do this. Cleveland. And then my West team, which you had a great segue there, and then we just kept going on about it, was the Rangers. Corey Kluber's new home at over 29.5 at -110. I mean, this is really the least juiced it could be without being even. And you get Corey Kluber to an already veteran staff that they're not great. They're not going to blow you away, but they're going to keep you in every single game. They've got a really good bullpen, really good. It's top half bullpen. And then their lineup looks really good as well. I think when we were looking at the home run champ earlier, I mean, Joey Gallo, if he can get hot in 60 games, he could easily hit 20 to 25 home runs easily in 60 games. That's the kind of power that he has. And I think, some of this, what we talked about with the Nationals and the Pirates of players quitting or whatever it might be, with the Rangers having a new stadium that they really can't get fans to, or if they can, it's going to be a small amount. if there's going to be a team that's going to try to finagle COVID test more so than another, I feel like the Rangers are probably top of that list. But I think easily this is a 500 team or better. And so 29
Hey,
and a
sorry
half.
about that. I think my AirPods just died. Can you hear me now?
Yep, can hear you now. Was just saying 500 team. I mean, 29 and a half. I think they're easily a 500 team or better.
Let's see. Hello?
Yep. Uh-oh, we're having technical difficulties.
Hello?
Yep,
Hello?
we can hear you. Yep.
Okay. I can't hear you, but I'm going to keep going because I can see that you're nodding your head. I think my AirPods died, so I have my backup plan here, my wired. So I'm gonna go again pessimistic with the AL. Apparently, I'm gonna go with the Astros under 35. 3 unders for all three of my AL divisions. I think this year that they're pretty much the same team as last year, minus Cole. But I think the big X factor for them is just going to be the distractions. No fans in the stadiums, but what have we talked about this entire offseason has just been the cheating scandal that the Astros have had. And I think that that's really going to get to them. You look at those prop bets on who's going to be the first Astros player to get beamed, how many will get beamed over the season. The numbers for batting average and home runs seem like they're dropping down from what they were, without being able to have little buzzers going in their gloves. I think, they're still a great team, but just a distraction, especially if they start off cold and then everyone starts to say, well, I told you so. They're not the team that they are when they can't cheat, really gets to them.
Yeah, I mean, we'll definitely see. I still think regardless of what happened with the cheating scandal, they still have a stacked lineup. They still have a stacked pitching staff. But 35 is a lot, right?
Let's see here.
Is that better?
All right, give that a try.
Yep, let's give that a shot. Nope. You're going to need to go to your cam mic settings. But either way, I could see it just because it's a high total, and Houston's one of the hot spots for coronavirus, and they could have a ton of players that start testing positive and whittle that down for them.
Not good.
So we'll take here a quick second to get Michael's situation all fixed here. How about now?
Okay, sorry about that, guys.
No, that's all good. All good. What's the odds for the Astros?
The odds are minus 110. So it seems like Bovada's putting it pretty much at a coin flip for 35 games being their win total. If I had to choose, I think under is much more confident for me. Nothing on the field pushes me to under. I think it's just going to be off the field, and I think especially if they get off to a slow start, that only accelerates my confidence.
No, I'm with you. I can see that. All right. So then let's wrap this up with our MVP and Cy Youngs. I guess since you started with the National League for teams, I'll start there and we'll reverse it. For MVP of the National League, I've got this up and coming guy called Ronald Acuna Jr. I don't know if you've heard of him. He's got the second best odds in the National League. He is a beast. He's about 2 stolen bases away from being the youngest player to ever go 40-40 in a season. He grew out his hair. He's got dreads now. and he just oozes MLB swag. I mean, just he's going to be the poster boy for baseball. I couldn't be more excited. He's the best player in the game right now, and he's only 21.
Yeah, I mean, not much to say. You just look at his body of work, and it pretty much speaks for himself. I think, out of the top guys, he's definitely the easy choice. Mookie Betts really hasn't been the same over the last season or two that he was when he did win the MVP. What was that, 3 years ago, I want to say? Him moving to the NL with that potent lineup, I don't see him stealing as many bases. His runs and RBIs should definitely go up. But, if you look at kind of the juggernaut bias, I think that he's going to suffer from it. Where it's
Can't
kind
say
of
that enough.
where he's going to do good. I actually didn't pick any of the top three: Mookie Betts, Ronald Acuna, or Christian Yelich.
Okay.
I went with a dark horse just to kind of have fun with it. I went with Nolan Arenado at plus 2,000. I think that he's going to benefit the most from this 60-game season, not personally, but just for the Rockies. I think that if he can be the leader and put them into the playoffs as a wild card, I picked the Dodgers to win that division, but as a wild card and potentially even go in and win that wild card game and make a splash in the divisional round, I think that it makes too much sense. It's kind of one of those things where you look back and it's just like, oh, of course, that makes sense. So, the Rockies, they haven't made it past the play-in game but one time in how many years. And I think this 60 games really gives them an advantage of, kind of making it happen.
No, I mean, he's always one of the top players in the league.
Right. And, the Coors effect is always going to be there. He's going to hit the ball really well. Trevor Story is only getting better over the last few years. The team is there. It's kind of just the pitching. And if they can benefit from the expanded rosters and they can benefit from maybe a pitcher like German Marquez rebounding and getting hot, I think it's going to be one of those where everyone says, why didn't I?
Yeah, I'm with you. I can see that.
So yeah, I mean, it won't be a huge bet, but plus 2,000, it's kind of one of those where it's worth the risk because if it hits, it pays for itself.
You win. You win the entire thing.
Yeah, exactly.
All right,
now I'll move into my Cy Young, and I'm going to keep it in the West. It's going to be Walker Buehler. I think he is the fourth on the list. Third, tied for second. There we go. Final answer. Tied for second. It goes Jacob deGrom, 350, who just removed himself from a game within the last week. Max Scherzer, who's consistent as can ever be. And then it goes Walker Buehler tied with Max Scherzer. And Walker Buehler's looked nasty this offseason. That clip on Twitter that was floating around of him striking Mookie Betts out on a sinker or a slider that ended, 2 feet off the plate was just nasty. Again,
what are his odds at?
He is at plus 500. So he's one of the favorites. But I think, he's just got it all there. He's going to have the strikeouts. He's going to have the ERA. He's going to have the wins. And, it's for me, one of those, keep it simple, stupid sort of things.
No, you're all about that. You're all about that. I think you've got that even tattooed on your arm. So no surprise there. Well, I hate to burst your Nolan Arenado dark horse bubble, but I'm going even darker when it comes to the NL Cy Young.
Okay.
And I'm going with my man, Mason Saunders, a.k.a. Madison Bumgarner, who's going to lead the Arizona Diamondbacks to the playoffs on top of his bull that he's riding with his alias at 4,000 odds.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I look at the National League, and like you said, you've got your Walker Buehlers, your Madison Bumgarner, or not Madison Bumgarner, your Max Scherzers. You've got the aces that are established, right? But I think in a 60-game season, it's 12 starts, and somebody like a Bumgarner who's just professional every single year, puts it in, doesn't have like an amazing ERA or anything like that, but it's solid. I think a new team.
When he joined the Diamondbacks, did they have a no dirt bike clause in his contract?
No, I mean, I think that's what drew him to the Diamondbacks. He can buy all the land he wants in Arizona, have his
Makes
farm.
sense.
He can ride bulls all he wants and dirt bikes. And they said, look, we'll give you this contract. Go do what makes you happy, because when you're happy, you pitch better.
Makes too much sense.
Yeah. The only thing that was in the contract, I think, was we will not sign Yasiel Puig. That's the only thing that he asked for. That'd be the best. I'd love it. On the same team, be so good.
Oh my god.
So we'll see if either of our dark horses hit. That's going to be a huge lead for either of us.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, so who you got in the AL?
Going with the AL is going to be another, not really a dark horse, but just a guy who I think has kind of been forgotten about. It's going to be Shohei Ohtani coming back. Everyone's talking about the Angels and how they're getting better. I mentioned it earlier. They have Rendon joining their lineup, and Trout's kind of up in the air, but he was so good when he came over, both sides of the ball. And when you think of most valuable player, how does it get more valuable than a guy who can hit in a 162 game season, 35 home runs, and also pitch 132 innings of high quality starting pitching? It plus 1,800 odds. Again, I'll throw a small number on there, and I think it's just one of those. Everyone's gonna look back and just say, "Oh yeah, obviously." So I'm kind of swinging for the fences on it, but when you think of most valuable, it doesn't get more valuable than a 3-hole hitter and third rotation starter.
I mean, obviously you're not watching the screen because I laughed. I have the same one.
No, sorry, I wasn't watching the screen. No, I was looking at the rest of the yeah.
I love it. I love it. I'm with you, right? You got 60 games, and it's what he has in favor of him is, like you said, both sides of the plate, right? He can hit well and he can pitch well. So in a 60-game season, he has the opportunity to benefit his team and be more valuable at an even greater clip than any other player because he can play both sides. So if he's able to stay healthy and put up a, 3.2 ERA and a 280 batting average with 12, 15, 20 home runs, I think he's an easy lock.
Yeah, definitely. And even if he does less than that, 3.2 ERAs, definitely going to win it for him. If he does a 3.5 and hits, let's just say 15 home runs, but the Angels end up making a push and make it into the playoffs, whether or not Trout's in it or not, it just makes too much sense.
Could you imagine if the Angels actually make the playoffs and Shohei Ohtani wins the MVP? And it's not Trout for all the times that Trout's won it and they haven't made the playoffs?
Would it be worse than Bryce Harper leaving the Nationals and then they win the World Series?
Oh, no, because he's still on the team. He doesn't care. He just wants to play.
Right.
No, nothing's going to be worse than Bryce Harper leaving for $1 bajillion and then the team winning the World Series right after that. That's the best.
Yeah, it's the best.
You got to love that. All right, so for my Cy Young, I've got Corey Kluber, another dark horse. I think he's got something to prove. He's won it once, twice already.
I know once for sure. Yeah, I don't know exactly.
I mean, he's coming into a staff where he doesn't have to be the ace, right? Everybody just has to do their job, put up a decent ERA, and they'll be okay. And I think, he knows the Central or no, I guess he's in the West now.
He's a two-time
Two-time. Okay, that's what I thought. I think he puts it together. He was hurt a little bit over the last 2 years.
Yeah.
But just looking at the field, you've got your Coles, who gave up 2 or 3 home runs yesterday. Looks awful. there's just not a ton of aces in the AL that you get super excited about like you do in the NL. So I just went dark horse. It's like Corey Kluber, let's put $1 on it. Let's go.
Yeah, definitely. I could see that. I went complete opposite side of the spectrum. I went Garrett Cole. I went chalk. He's plus 275. Looking through the list, it is so hard to find a guy who you feel confident in. And Cole is the guy who, anyone's going to feel the most confident in. I spoke about it earlier. Tyler Glasnow is high on this list. I think he's 5th. Blake Snell just in front of him at 4th. But, when you look historically how the Cy Young gets decided, it's largely on the outdated metric of wins. Lately they've kind of been moving away from it, but, Blake Snell can pitch a 2.77 ERA and only win 5 games because the offense has been putrid. Same thing with Lucas Giolito. And for me, it's just the Yankees. They're
short
going
porch, brand new team. He's wanted to play there his entire life. Yeah, I mean, I don't see any reason why it wouldn't blow up in a 60-game sample.
It definitely is gonna blow up in my face, but I'm gonna feel dumb not betting it at plus 275. And it coming true.
Yeah. I mean, if you've learned anything about the Yankees and the Mets, it's that apparently New York has the worst doctors and physicians because nobody can stay healthy. So, I mean, I would even take Garrett Cole, Tommy John surgery as a better bet than Cy Young this year. And that's hot. That's as hot as it gets.
That is a hot take. That's a very hot take.
All right.
Yeah.
So
I don't have too much to talk about. It's just who do I have the most amount of confidence in a low confidence pool? And I went with Cole. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and assign our dollars to everything.
Okay.
Actually, no. Let's do this. Let's go ahead and do the green ones down here.
Okay.
And then we'll come back here at the end and we'll do all the money.
Perfect. All right. So let's see. I'll start since I'm talking now for the World Series. Okay. Continuing on with my New York Yankees, I'm choosing them. They are plus 375 odds. They're the number 2 team that Vegas has. The Dodgers are first. I think, you look at how unlucky they got last year with injuries, how unlucky they got last year in the playoffs against the Astros. I think that it needs to regress back to the mean, not necessarily, day by day, but just over the whole season. To me, they're too good of a team to be held down for as long as they have. They've only gotten better this offseason. As long as injuries don't completely derail their season like it did last year, which, like you said,
there's Tommy John for Garrett Cole. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a strong likelihood that, I mean, what do you want to set the over-under at? 4 players will get injured during the 60 games. 4 starting players will get injured.
Easily.
I'm going to bet the under on that number, and as a result, I'm going to bet on the Yankees to end up winning the World Series. Not great odds.
Yeah.
But it's one of those where, they're too good of a team, and I'm betting on them not getting injured.
I have a hard time seeing them win it all if they don't even win their division. Because I've got the Rays winning the whole thing, from what we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
I mean, they could even come up with something where Florida's such a hotbed for COVID that when teams are coming in to play them, they're setting up whatever hotel it is, and they're just going to have COVID in their hotel rooms to get their key players sick. This is their chance.
Yeah, this is their chance.
This is it.
I know that. Everyone's saying this is either a good year to bid or to bet on the Rays or the A's. I understand why. The Rays look exactly like the Nationals last year, where they have a few young offensive players, not offensive players. They have a few young batters who, yeah, who can definitely get hot and carry you. But then they also just have those pitchers that you can just lean on and grind and get you that 1-0 or 2-1 win. When it really matters.
Yeah, I'm obviously with you there because I picked him. So I won't say that again.
Yeah.
All right, total home runs for whoever leads the league in home runs, over or under 20.5. I've got over. I think it might not be who we expect it to be, but I think in a 60-game sample, someone's going to get hot enough, especially with the condensed season, pitchers not having the full time to get ramped up. I think someone's just going to hit a hot pace really quick and just go on a tear.
Yeah, and I have the same thing. I have over. The other big thing I think that's going to help whoever it is get there is going to be the 3-batter minimum now. So you look at what we talked about earlier, lefty power slugger Joey Gallo. You can't bring on a lefty specialist and have him throw 3 sliders in a row and strike out Joey Gallo, because then you're at risk for leaving him in for whoever's behind him. I think that's going to play into it, and I think that's really going to be to the hitter's advantage, not just the speed of play like they're intending it to, but 20, that's a home run every 3 games or just over 1 home run in every 3 games. I think this gets passed within, how early do you want to, how bold do you want to be? The first 40 games? Could you say the first 45 games?
I'd say first 50.
First 50? Okay, that's fair. I just want to be bold. I want to say like the first 45 games. I think the pitchers, like you said, they're hurt the most by this long layoff. The batters have only been able to work on their strength, work on their batting mechanics. I think this is an easy lock to go over.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Who do you have as the home run champ?
My home run champ is going to be not Joey Gallo, even though I keep talking about him. Let me just go to my tab to see where we were, and that's right, it wasn't on here. I have Yordan Alvarez, and he is plus 1,000.
Wow.
So I have a very specific scenario why I think it's going to be him. And I think that with all these other Astros getting beamed, pretty much getting on base for free and moving down the lineup for him, they're going to have to pitch to somebody eventually. You can't just keep hitting players and putting them on base. I think that with him already showing what he's done last year in half a season, mixed with opponents being forced to pitch eventually, or being warned, being scared to come inside for him, for face of ejection. I think that he's gonna hit close to maybe 30, and just put this race out of the water. Next closest will be like 5, 6, 7 away. He's a beast.
So if you were to pick somebody else, who would it be? Because Alvarez might not play.
Okay. Let me look, because I also want to chase these odds a little bit. Let me just pull up your...
Yeah, pull it up. I'll go over to mine really quick.
I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this on the fly. I guess I should have had somebody as a backup anyways. Let's see here. And I'll go through the odds. Okay, I like this one. The top... I'll just go through the top 3. Joey Gallo is the leader at plus 850. Then Mike Trout, Pete Alonso, Yordan Alvarez are tied for second at plus 1,000. Then following up after that, Aaron Judge plus 112, Cody Bellinger plus 1,600, Giancarlo Stanton plus 1,600. I'm going to keep scrolling down. I'm going to go with Jorge Soler, who was your AL home run leader last year. He hit, I think his number was 46, or maybe it was 42. It was just behind old PD boy. Yeah, it looks too good. I could definitely see him repeating. He started the season hot last year and remained hot pretty much throughout the whole season. If I
What are
didn't
his
have,
odds?
he's plus 2,500. He's tied with the likes of Nolan Arenado, Eloy Jimenez, Chris Davis, Chris with a K, Vladdy, JD Martinez, Josh Donaldson. So he's in good company. But I think that a defending home run leader should be higher up in a list than that. So, not the most confident pick, but I think that mixed with the odds is definitely who I would choose next.
Okay. And if Alvarez does, for whatever reason, end up playing, I'll give it back to you. Because,
Perfect.
I remember seeing something that he wasn't going to play, and as I'm looking it up, it looks like, as of 15 hours ago, Astros would turn to Kyle Tucker in absence of Yordan Alvarez. So I don't know what's going on there. So you mentioned one of my guys that I've got here for the home run leader, and that's Vladito Jr. The way that I look at it is same odds. They're moving him from third base to first DH. They're already saying, hey, defense, we don't really give a shit, even though we kept you down in the minors because of it. And just in a full season of having to play at Camden Yards, Boston, New York, Philly, Atlanta, he's gonna just torch the ball. We know he can hit. We know that he can hit, right?
Yeah.
And he's had half a season to get under his belt to get confident in it. And I think they're basically going to go in and tell these young Toronto players, hey, just go in, have fun. Just don't worry about winning. We know we're not going to win this year. And I think Vlad's just going to come out and just obliterate home runs.
Yeah. I think that's a great choice. I mean, everything you said, I 100% agree with. I think he's almost too good of a hitter, though, where he can recognize a ball and put it in the gap for a double. Whereas, you look at guys like Jorge Soler or Chris Davis with the C, these all or nothing guys, they're up there for one reason. And they're going to have a low batting average. They're going to have a high home run clip. Whereas Vlad Jr. is going to be more of your, let me choke up on 0-2 count and just put this ball, right
no
center
way.
field.
He's so pissed that he lost the home run derby last year. He's coming in this year saying, if you're going to put me at first in DH, he's not a high batting average guy. He's a power guy. He's going to come in and just see how many home runs can I hit.
I think he's too good of a hitter. I really do. And that's not an insult. That's a compliment to him.
We'll see.
Yeah. Yeah. He's still, for as much tout and articles there are out there about him being one of the best prospects ever, there's still a lot of unknown. He was pretty bad last year.
Oh yeah.
Is that fair to say? Yeah, he was pretty bad last year. So again, he can go out there and destroy baseballs, and again, everybody say, oh well, obviously, but he might be another guy where it takes a few years to get going.
We'll see. So to end it for me, my stolen base leader, I've got Tatis Jr. at 2,800. Looking at the list of stolen base leaders, there's a lot of players that play on really bad teams or teams that we don't expect to be in the hunt going down the line, right? I guess the way that I see it is the Padres have been investing. This is their year where they think that they could make a push for the playoffs in 60 games, no less. I think you're going to see them trying to do whatever they can to put Tatis on full display, right? Good contact, plays great defense, but I think they're going to give him the green light every single time he can get on base to just create opportunities and chaos when you've got players that are either injured or out sick, and you've got replacement players at second and short. I think they're just going to push it.
So, I like that idea, and you look at the list of stolen base leaders per league, the NL is always much higher. I'm looking at it now. 2019 was, I'm going to put in air quotations, a down year with 37 coming from Ronnie. The year before that, 43. The year before that, 60. The year before that, 62, 58, 64, 46. Scrolling up to the AL, you have, let me get to it, 46, 45, 34, 43. So, averaging around 40, where the NL is kind of mid to high 40s. You can't overlook the NL having the DH this year. So I think it's going to be a little bit more balanced between the two leagues in terms of, we don't really need to create runs in the NL, by moving a guy over, because 3, 4, 5 guys down the batting order is just a guaranteed out. So I'm gonna stick with the AL here, go a little bit against the grain, and I'm gonna go with the guy who has won it 2 out of the past 3 years in the AL, Whit Merrifield. Sort of the same reasons that you kind of spoke on, where, just go out, make contact, you've got nothing to lose, and then let's just let you run. Whit Merrifield won in 2017 and 2018.
And what are his odds?
He is, yes, I do. He is plus 2,000. He's got the proven record that they're going to let him run. I think that the Royals led the league in stolen base attempts last year, and I haven't seen anything that tells me they're going to change their philosophy otherwise. Why not go out and at least get another Kansas City guy some hardware with Jorge Soler.
The only and he's him, Adalberto Mondesi, a lot of the players that were at the top of the list, I had a hard time picking them, just knowing that they play on teams that aren't going to be in the hunt, right?
Yeah, right.
I just, it could honestly, well, there's not going to be enough extra inning games for that to matter, but I feel like it's got to be somebody that's on a winning team. And I feel like the Padres are at least in a position where they might not be the best team, but they're doing whatever they can to win. They're still going to try to manufacture runs just to keep themselves in the conversation when they're having to go up against the Diamondbacks, the Dodgers, and then the AL West as well. So, I don't think you can go wrong either way, and both of them have question marks, just showing by the odds. But yeah, that's a solid list. And again, anything that we've picked here today could just completely go by the wayside if shit hits the fan, so to speak.
Yeah, it's tough. Stolen bases is really a big coin flip. One injury derails a team entirely. Even, if it's not that player getting injured, if it's the player behind them or the player in front of them drops out of the lineup and now they have to play a different role, they're not running as much for whatever reason. So it's tough. It really is just throw a dart at the wall and see where it lands.
This could be the best year to make these dark horse type bets and actually win something on it.
Definitely. So I think it's fun to look at and keep track of, and we'll definitely come back and revisit all of these. But for now, let's go ahead and let's juice it up even more. Let's assign our wager amounts to our categories here. So Graham, you want to just go back really quick and preview kind of what we're doing with our wagers?
Yep. So basically we're taking these 10 bets that are right here, and we're going to assign $15 to them. And then we'll take $5 and assign it to these last 4 that we just made here. Really, you can split it up however you want, but the idea is, obviously you want your return to be the greatest on it, because that's really how you win this whole thing. So, we'll just go through here and apply. I think you've got edit capabilities on your end.
I do. I believe so.
Yeah. So let's just run through this. And just as you start placing them, if you have ones that you want to talk about, let's do that. That way we're not going super long on it.
Perfect. Okay. So starting with my National League here, I'm going to do $1 on the Phillies under. I mentioned before, I wasn't super confident in it, but if I had to choose, I felt like them going under seemed like the logical choice. You can tell by the odds. By the odds, it is kind of a coin flip. But the one that I did feel the most confident for was Pirates going under. So I'm going to assign $3, pretty much. What would that be? 1/5 of my budget towards that bet. Juice lines minus 145, but us both having it and really agreeing on the same reasons makes me feel confident. And let me just go up and I'll do my West here while I have the floor. I'm going to do $1 on the Dodgers going over. Again, don't feel great about it, but I think if I had to choose one way or the other on that 38.5 line, I'm going to choose them going over, especially at even odds. Can just get a quick buck. And I'll hand it over to you. We'll kind of keep the same flow going through the teams and then the awards.
Yeah, so I quickly just went through and did mine. The Diamondbacks over 31.5. I put $3 on that. I feel super confident about that team with everything that they've put together. I think that West division is going to be a tight race, and the wins are going to matter, but they'll be able to beat up on all the other teams. And then I went pretty even across the board. I put $2 on the Rays over 34, $2 on the Rangers over 29.5. And then the Nationals under 33. I might actually change that to 1 and put the Rangers over 29.5 at 3. Just feeling that confident about it.
I like it. Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with the Rays going over. I think that's a good bet, and you're definitely in line to win a good amount. Your odds, looking at the American League, are a little bit better than some of the ones that I have. So you're in a better position to make money. So you can kind of look at where did I stack my big bucks, and by big bucks I mean just doubling it from $1 to $2. And it was on Baltimore going under. I just really don't feel confident in them. We spoke about it earlier. Find a player on their team anywhere that you would want on your team. And yeah, I mean, you can't, you have to even look up who is their starting 9, who is their starting rotation. Not that they're not going to win games, but 20.5 that's tough given their division.
Yeah.
Tigers, Astros, and Ohtani, not great, but just kind of throwing it out there, seeing what can fit. And then Garrett Cole, I need to kind of make up a little bit of money because I went with the favorite, so I did $2 on that. But really, my biggest money maker is going to be, or where I'm chasing the most money is going to be my Cy Youngs, and then the poor get poor kind of idea with the Pirates and Baltimore staying under their team totals.
Right. No, I'm with you there. And we might have needed to look at maybe bumping them from 15 to 20 so we can be a little bit more aggressive on some of these. But on my last 4, I put all my money pretty much in the over-under for home runs. And I can't do math apparently. So I'm going to have to fix this. Let's see here. Change that to 250, and there we go. So I'm not as confident on the stolen base piece, but most confident in the over/under, which it looks like you are as well. And then
go ahead.
I'm really banking on, between looking at your side and my side, if I could get the Rays, to win the World Series, that would be huge.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. You've got more ability to really end, our competition in just one prop. Looking at Ohtani's a tie, but Kluber, Rays, Vlad Jr., Tatis Jr. If any one of those
Bumgarner, baby.
Bumgarner as well. Yeah, if any of those hit, I mean it's over. It doesn't matter if I sweep the rest of them. You'll be pretty well fed at that point. I just edited my bets while you were talking because I agreed with exactly what you said. Over 20.5. I feel so confident in that. I wish I could put like my entire 5 on it, but just to keep it, a little bit competitive, $1 on the Yankees to win, $1 on my home run champ, whether that's Jorge Soler or Yordan Alvarez, and then 50 cents, just something on the board, just so I can say that I bet it on our stolen base leader. But overall, yeah, I like it. We'll see how this goes. It's definitely going to be interesting to see if whose strategy kind of goes a little bit farther, not just over the season, but in this sort of competition where you're swinging for the fences and I'm playing it a little bit safer, choosing the favorites on the sidelines in the World Series.
Yeah, we'll see. And we'll see, how quickly some of this might get thrown out the window, or even if they play a full season, because that's, I guess, still up in the air. But no, we'll certainly revisit this as the season goes on. I'm assuming we'll probably do some additional episodes looking at some of the games of the week, or we'll figure out something as basketball and hockey come back. But glad to do this again, and hopefully have sports again here soon. Any lasting thoughts you'd throw out there before we end it?
Go Dinos.
Go Dinos. All right. Thanks, everybody.